Hi, I'm Elaine Bennett, and welcome to the 5 by 15 Writing Challenge. I am so glad you decided to stretch yourselves and join this challenge. It's not an easy thing to do, to step up to. You could have made a million excuses, but you didn't. So I'm going to wave my magic wand and give you permission to be proud of yourselves. When the challenge starts, that Monday, you are going to get a chance to rewrite your history. If you've had trouble following through on commitments before 5 days after the challenge starts, you will have completed it and you will get a chance to embrace success. Hey, look, it's a small win, but small wins still count as wins. You may have heard the story about the Green Beret general who expects his troops to make their beds the first thing every morning. It's not that he cares about neat beds, but he knows that if you do that one thing, if you start the day off with a win, that sets you up for success the whole rest of the day. So let's get you a win. Writing for 5 days in a row for at least 15 minutes a day. And I want to remind you that in addition to doing something good for yourself, you're also doing something good for children around the world. If you're like me, maybe sometimes it's easier for you to do something for someone else than for yourself. So I'm going to post some of these photos in our Facebook group. Feel free to download them, print them out, whatever you need to inspire you to get your writing done every day. Now, let me just quickly give you a little background about who I am when I'm not running this challenge. I'm a writer. I've been writing professionally for over 25 years. Mostly I write for corporations, their CEOs or other leading executives. Here are a few of the companies I've written for. I've written speeches, annual reports. I've won awards in both categories. I started out as the speechwriter for the CEO of a big Wall Street firm, Salomon Brothers. And a couple of years after I started, Salomon ran into trouble, and our biggest investor saved us by becoming the interim CEO. And that's how I started working with Warren Buffett. He spent 6 months at Salomon, and he wrote me a note after he left. Here is my favorite part of what he wrote. You have a terrific ear, and you turn straight thinking into straight writing. You know, I love writing for executives. I love learning how they think and getting a bird's eye view of how their companies work. And I'll be honest, I also love the money. I mean, companies pay me a lot of money, tens of thousands of dollars, to work with their people. Because my advice is expensive, they figure it must be valuable. I happen to agree. But because they think it's valuable, they listen to what I say. But I know that there are many people in the world who don't have the kind of institutional support or budget that a CEO has. And I'm guessing many of you are in that category. You need to communicate, and you want to do it well. So I've started teaching some webinars and helping people discover how to communicate their stories and ideas, how to write well. And here we are. Oh, one more thing about me. I have been writing for 15 minutes a day for the past 412 days, actually. By the time you listen to this, it will be longer than that, but that's pretty, not a bad number there. Now, I keep track of my streak using an iPhone app called Streaks, but you don't need to go high tech about it. Jerry Seinfeld writes every day, and he uses a wall calendar. And, well, I don't suppose he'd mind me saying that he makes a little more money than I do. Before I get into the nuts and bolts of the challenge, I wanted to share this quotation with you. It's from a fellow writer. He says, anytime you write something, you go through so many phases. You go through the I'm a fraud phase. You go through the I'll never finish phase. And every once in a while you think, what if I actually have created what I set out to create? and it's received as such. If you do what feels right to you, if you do your very best and you put it out in the world, people might not like it, and that can be scary. You feel naked. On the other hand, people might like it, and that's its own kind of scary, because then you start to think about expectations, and maybe you load yourself down by expecting even more from yourself. So who is this writer I'm quoting? The guy who had the courage to put his work out into the world is Lin-Manuel Miranda, the creator of the musical Hamilton, which has single-handedly transformed the world's conception of what's possible in musical theater. And he's won a couple of awards for it, 2 Tonys. He won his 3rd for the previous show he did, and a Pulitzer Prize, and oh yeah, a Genius Grant. Now, you and I may never win a shelf full of prestigious awards for our writing, but I wanted you to see that even someone as undoubtedly accomplished and successful as Lin-Manuel Miranda, even he has doubts. He feels like a fraud. He feels like he'll never finish, but he pushes on through those doubts, and you and I need to do that too, because that's the only way to get through this challenge. In fact, it's the only way to create anything ever. So if you start to doubt yourself and your abilities, just tell your doubt to have a seat and you'll be with it in 15 minutes. And then congratulate yourself, because you're feeling the same emotion that Lin-Manuel Miranda feels. And that means you must be a writer. Okay, I'm going to share some tips for courageous writing to help you get through this challenge. Tip number 1, plan it. Especially when you've got a daily practice. If you've committed for 15 minutes a day of writing, you don't want to spend the first 14 minutes coming up with a topic. That does not count as writing time. So in the next few days before the challenge starts, make a running list of ideas that pop into your head, things you'd like to write about. And it doesn't matter if it's a crazy idea. Some of the best ideas are. And if you've already got a plan, well, just make a detailed list of what you want to write, the web copy or blog posts or letters to your mother, whatever you want. You know, make a list so you don't have to think about it. You just set your timer for 15 minutes and write. Tip number 1A specifically for this challenge is plan when to write. Put it in your calendar, set an alarm on your phone, anchor it to something else you do, like I'm going to write for 15 minutes and then I'm going to have my coffee. Yeah, that might not work. Well, I'm going to have my coffee and then I'm going to write for 15 minutes. That would work. When I started my daily practice, my coach suggested that we commit to doing our 15 minutes before you check your email. That's not going to work for this, because I will be sending out your writing prompts, your daily writing prompts in your email just after midnight time, Eastern time, starting on Monday morning. So do check your email, but don't read anything but the email from me, and then do your 15 minutes. And if you haven't already done it, if you're on Gmail, take a minute to drag one of my emails into your inbox, and that way all of my emails will show up in your inbox. And if you're not on Gmail and you're not getting my emails, put me in your address book. All right, courageous writing tip number 2, sneak up on it. This may sound contradictory since I just told you to make a plan, but when you look at your plan, if it feels too scary to launch right into the thing you were planning to write about, warm up by writing about something else. Set yourself a time limit so you don't waste all day on it. In this case, you're only writing for 15 minutes anyway. But the point of the warm-up is to get your mind thinking and your fingers hitting the keyboard at the same time. Okay, here's your 3rd tip for courageous writing. Just write. Don't edit. Editing is important. Revising your work is important, but you can make time for that later. And don't judge. Don't judge the work and don't judge yourself. Once you set that timer, there is only one thing you need to do for the next 15 minutes, and that is write. That's it. Okay, tip number 4. No one needs to see what you're writing until you're ready to show them. Now, I'll tell you a secret. This is the absolute truth. When I was younger, I had trouble writing because I was scared to think that people were going to see what I had written. And of course, I thought it wasn't very good, so I didn't want people to see it. So as you're getting better, as you're building those writing muscles, remember, nobody needs to see what you're doing until you're ready to share. And during the challenge, I hope you will share on our Facebook page so we can give each other some virtual pats on the back. And do make time to read the things that people have posted. The last time people wished that I had told them to make time in their schedules to read the writing, because some of it, most of it, all of it, it's really, really remarkable. It's a great group of people we attract. So make time to read each other's writing. And, you know, also just be supportive of people's writing. Yeah, you know, click like or heart or whatever. Don't offer criticism, even if you think it's constructive criticism. Right now, we're only together for 5 days. If we were working together for a longer period of time and you could get to know each other a little bit, then I would tell you to feel free to comment if the writer asks for comments. But for now, for these 5 days, just be supportive. Okay. So those are the 4 tips for courageous writing. I will post this slide in our Facebook group. Now, let me just quickly go over the rules. The challenge runs from Monday, June 19th through midnight Eastern Time on Friday, June 23rd. You're committing to writing for at least 15 minutes a day, every day for those 5 days. Oh, you know what? I'm sorry. The deadline is not midnight Eastern Time. The deadline is midnight, whatever time midnight is, wherever you are. There's really no need for you to keep track of what we're doing here on the East Coast. Post your writing in our Facebook group, or just post a message that you've written. We're on the honor system, and do keep the material that you read in the group confidential. All right, and oh yeah, so good, confidentiality. And please tag your Facebook posts with the day 1, day 2. That'll make it easier for us to find them and give you credit for the day. Plan to join a celebration webinar on June 23rd at noon Eastern. You will still have until midnight your time to post your writing, but nobody wants me on a webinar at midnight. And complete the challenge by midnight on June 23rd, and I will donate $15 in your honor to Room to Read. So that's it. Couldn't be easier. I will correct this slide and post it in our Facebook group. And I look forward to seeing what you write. And again, if you have any questions, just shoot me an email. I'll be happy to answer them. All right. Thanks, guys.